Now, we still here at this point haven't gone about actually adding any clients into our WSUS infrastructure, and that's in part because before we do so, we kind of have to think and strategize a bit about where exactly we might put our different WSUS servers. In a very small environment, you may have a single WSUS server, and that WSUS server connects up to Microsoft Update. But in a larger environment, you may find that the variety of different geographic locations that your environment is spread across may mandate the use of more than one WSUS server at a time. If you think about it, the whole point behind WSUS is to keep a copy of these updates locally. And if the network distance between some remote site and your WSUS server is more latent than that remote site's connection, well, to Microsoft Update, well, you can see that not entirely being a great solution. So Microsoft actually provides two different ways in which you can create this sort of upstream, downstream approach with WSUS servers. The first of which is a downstream WSUS server in what is called autonomous mode. Now again, the whole point behind creating a WSUS hierarchy is that you have one copy of the updates that are downloaded from Microsoft, and then internally they can be distributed to the other downstream servers for one reason or another. When that happens, the people in that remote site, the IT pros in that remote site, may wish or may not wish to have further control about which machines get the updates. In autonomous mode, this whole linkage of WSUS servers is done for no other reason than just the dissemination of the updates themselves. And the downstream server in autonomous mode actually allows those local IT pros to make decisions. So which computers belong in which groups and so on. This can be different from another situation where maybe you don't have any IT pros in that remote site, or maybe you don't trust them to do the patching. Well, WSUS can also be configured in what's called Replica Mode, where in Replica Mode, all the decisions are made by the upstream server. That remote site grabs all the updates from your main WSUS server. It also grabs all the metadata and instructions as far as what it's supposed to do. So these different configurations here with these upstream, downstream servers provides you the abilities to, number one, distribute the updates in the most efficient way possible, while at the same time, number two, providing or not providing the right level of control for the IT pros that happen to be in that site. Now, without actually going through all the process of creating another WSUS server to show you how the two can interconnect, let's actually take a look at just some of the settings that are baked into the WSUS console that you will want to configure when it comes time to actually create this multi-server hierarchy of machines. Those settings happen down here under Options, or at least they start down here under Options, where we have a variety of things that we need to take a look at. The first of which is just for a WSUS server, defining where its update source is going to be. That happens right up here with this first option here at the top. Now, as you recall, just a couple of minutes ago, when we originally built this server, we chose to synchronize this server from Microsoft Update. But we could have chosen to synchronize this server from another WSUS server. Doing so automatically creates that upstream, downstream connection between the two. I would just simply give that server a server name, and then determine whether or not I was going to use SSL, what the port number should be, and whether or not I wanted to make this an autonomous or a replica server of the upstream server. So as you can see here, it's the person at the main site controlling that main site WSUS server that will make the decision as to whether those remote site IT pros have control or if they don't. That'll happen down here by choosing the box as to whether this is a replica or an autonomous server. Now, in addition to this, we have a couple of other configurations we have to make as well when we're setting up this upstream-downstream relationship between WSUS servers, the next of which happens here under Update Files and Languages. Now remember, we have the abilities to use this upstream-downstream relationship as a mechanism for the dissemination of updates. We could also just simply use it for the dissemination of metadata and allow that remote site to instead grab its content, the actual patches themselves, from Microsoft Update. In this configuration, you see over here, instead of storing the update files locally, we could just simply have the computers install them directly from Microsoft Update. This again gives you the abilities to define which computers should get which updates, but then it tells them to go get all the patches themselves from Microsoft Update and from the internet. I also, when making that configuration, have the choice of determining how I want those files to come down, either from Microsoft Update or from the upstream server. And that has to do with this checkbox here called Download Express Installation Files. These Express Installation Files are essentially a trade-off in that you at your server will download more content from your upstream server, being at Microsoft or some other machine, and in exchange, you then provide less content you need to transfer to the clients that are attached to you. If you have a lot of clients that are connecting over a latent network, these Express installation files can reduce the amount of traffic that's required to patch all the different machines in your local site. But again, that one download that happens from wherever your upstream content lies is going to be quite a bit larger in order to support this functionality. It's important also to recognize here that Express installation files only provide optimization for the WSUS to client connection and not the WSUS to other WSUS server connection. So if you have a couple of servers that are connected together in a hierarchy, turning on Express installation files will increase the amount of traffic between WSUS servers. One of the other great reasons to connect multiple WSUS servers together is to provide a single pane of glass for the status of updates across your entire organization. And that can happen actually down here by configuring the reporting roll-up. Notice here by default that the statuses from all the Replica downstream servers will actually roll up to the main WSUS server. This can be fantastic for providing that kind of single report you can provide to your security team or to management to evidence the fact that you're doing a good job with getting updates rolled out across your entire organization. There is one more thing down here called Personalization that will give you more information about how that data is displayed. Here under Personalization is where you can identify whether or not those downstream servers, the server data itself, will be seen here in the console, or if you just want computers and statuses from this server alone. So these different configurations in combination are those you'll probably want to pay attention to if you want to start expanding your WSUS infrastructure past just a single server. I do also want to show you here, if I bring up PowerShell just really quickly, that there are a variety of PowerShell commandlets, as you probably imagine, associated with WSUS. If I show you Help WSUS here, there's a whole variety of them that we can take a look at. One that you may take a look at since we're talking about synchronization is right here, Set WSUS Server Synchronization. And that command here, if I do a help and then -exa to show you the examples, just gives you a couple of good examples for how you can use PowerShell to accomplish much of what we just talked about here. Configuring the upstream server name, the port number, whether or not you want to use SSL, or reconfiguring the server to sync from Microsoft Update.